to my channel, Talking Hands with yours truly, Courtney. And today I'm going to get into the whole deal of American Sign Language as a major, because I did have a viewer that did ask about the whole, more of the background, and I got your request and I'm going to get into it with this video. So let's get started. American Sign Language major, and I do attend a community college. I'm not going to really disclose the college because, you know, for privacy reasons and safety reasons, but I am going to go over the classes that I do take and just go over the process of what it takes to be in this major. All right, so first and foremost, American Sign Language is a great major to pick. Now, the only thing about that major is that a lot of universities do not offer it as a major or as a way of getting a degree in. Now, I do know it's just based on the location and state, because I do know where I am located, I want to say there were only 3 universities. It was only 2 universities and 1 community college that were able to offer the American Sign Language as an associate's degree or a bachelor's. But if you want to just take the course as a whole, just like take American Sign Language, you can find that at a majority of universities or community colleges around this area. But unfortunately, it wasn't something that you could take to receive associates or bachelors. So depending on the state that you are living in, that could also play a big and huge factor in your situation. But if you are in an area where you can go to schooling for it as a complete major so that you are able to receive a degree in it, then congratulations. This is the open door we've all been waiting for. Now, there are programs where you can go into and you can do a certification in American Sign Language. Now, depending on the university or community college you're attending, they have different programs. I do know that at first, before I got into the American Sign Language as a major, I did have where I went to another community college and I went into the certification program. And what I did was I took, I want to say, a total of 4 to 5 classes, and they were paid out of pocket because they are a non-continuing education program where you're able to, you know, go to the class, you learn about American Sign Language, and once you learn, then you are able to get a certification to say that you are certified in American Sign Language. Now, there's different types of certifications. There's one that's a state certification, and there's one that's just through a university. That's the one I just got through the university. I have not yet been able to get one from the state yet, but that's what I'm headed to. And in the next video, I'll get into the differences between different certifications, because it's very important to understand the difference. Okay, so as an American Sign Language major, I am in my 2nd semester. The reason I was able to get a little further is because I did attend another university before, and I was able to transfer some credits so I wouldn't have to take the basic core classes. But for those who are starting off, I'm gonna get into the classes that you would particularly need to take as an American Sign Language major. Now, when you're in this major, majority of your classes are going to be American Sign Language. So if this is your first year as a student, or if you decide to transfer, or you're deciding to, if you had dropped out at one point like I did, and you decide, okay, I want to go back into college, then you can transfer the credits that you have had previously, which is like the basic core electives like English, psychology, math, then take those and transfer it. But for those who are first-time students or freshmen, then what's going to happen is you're going to have to take the basic classes, which is English and psychology. But within that, you also would take sign language classes. Depending if you're a part-time or a full-time student, either way, majority of your classes are going to be sign language. Now, in my first semester, I took 3 sign language classes. The first was ASL 100, which is basically a breakdown of what a sign language is. You're basically getting an introduction. That's an introduction class to American Sign Language. You're going to learn the basics. Like everything I'm teaching you here is what you're going to really hear in American Sign Language 100, which is what is ASL, the introduction of it, the counting of 1 to 100, your alphabet, basic conversation techniques that you could use to speak with deaf individuals, stuff like that. The next thing I did was American Sign Language. And depending on the university or school you're attending, the classes can be named different. So I'm just going to get into the whole thing as a whole. I took a visual gestural communication class. Basically what this class was, in this class, I did have a deaf professor. Now, in all my classes, all my professors were deaf when it came to American Sign Language. Now, depending on the university that you attend, it can be different because a lot of times in the beginning classes, you may have a hearing teacher that is fluent in the sign language, or you might have a hard of hearing professor or deaf. So it depends on the university that you go to and who you might have as a professor. But I had someone that was deaf, and the experience was amazing because it made you learn faster. There was no talking. You had to learn, and if you didn't get it, you would have to get the help of your other students, or the professor will help. So it actually shows you like you jumped into and you immerse yourself into deaf culture. So visual gestural communication is a class basically where you do not use any type of sign language. And I know it is basically under American Sign Language as a class you need to take for the major, but it's basically showing that it's a class basically around gestures. So you ever played the game Gestures and you're like, you're trying to act like you have plane and you have to act like you're a plane and stuff like that. It's just like that in that class. It's basically showing that with the deaf culture and the hearing culture, there's something in the middle, which is very similar, and that comes to gestures. Because a lot of times, if someone that's hearing doesn't know sign language, and you have this deaf person that cannot hear, a lot of times you tend to use gestures. And it's not a bad thing, but it just shows you how in everyday life, we use gestures each and every day and we don't realize it. So it just basically puts a magnifying glass on gestural and just makes you think outside the box. I would say for this class, this was the most difficult class, due to the fact that already knowing some previous sign language. So I had the habit of wanting to use sign, but in the class you are not able to sign anything in American Sign Language. You are not able to do none of that. You have to gesture everything. I do say that the class is difficult, and if I had to rate it from 1 to 10, I give it a 9. But it shows that you have to think outside the box, because sometimes if there is no language for you and that person, how else are you going to communicate? So I definitely recommend that class. And if you're an American Sign Language major, you're most likely going to have to take this class because it is required. The next class I definitely took was Fingerspelling and Number Use in ASL. And it just basically emphasizes on the whole fingerspelling and numbers, just to show in American Sign Language. And it's just like repetitive. It's more of just going more in depth with fingerspelling and numbers. And there is a website named ASL.ms, and I will put it here below so that you can go to the website. And it basically is a website where you can pick different speeds and it finger spells different words so that you are able to practice your receptive skills. Receptive skills are basically your receiving end. So on a camera, I can sign to you all and you see it from that viewpoint. That's you basically receiving the sign, because it's easy for us as yourself to go in the mirror and you sign to yourself and you're like, oh, okay. But it's one thing when you see it from another viewpoint on someone else's hands. So it's always good to go to that website. Once again, ASL.ms, and it breaks down, it finger spells for you, and then you could type in what you think you saw so that you would be able to practice more and seeing it on someone else's hands. And then when you get out in the real world, it won't be such a struggle to understand what someone's finger spelling. Now, as of right now, I'm currently in my second semester of an American Sign Language major. It has been a great journey. It's been a lot of practice and a lot of studying, but it's worth it. As of right now, I'm taking American Sign Language 2, and I'm going to go into the introduction of the deaf community and culture. I haven't started these classes yet. My classes don't start until next year in February and March. So I'm going to definitely give you an update about the classes. And I'm not really sure if I can record the class as a whole due to privacy, and I don't want to put no one out there. But I will give you all a gist of the classes and the work that I have to do. And I will be showing it on here. But I'm hoping that I answered majority of your questions about American Sign Language and the behind the scenes. This is not the only video that I'm going to do when it comes to what happens behind the scenes due to American Sign Language, because I know that there are some individuals, just like the viewer that asked, what about it? Because there's a lot of people that want to do this as a major. but there's not many opportunities or many people that do talk about it to give them an insight of what it's all about. So once again, this is just a behind the scenes. Get to know what it takes, the classes that I take, and I'm most likely going to give you more updates because I'm still in it. So that means if I'm still in it, we in it. So we're in this together. Once again, I just want to continue to tell you all, continue, keep going, don't stop. Keep studying, keep practicing, and trust me, you will see progress. And once again, keep up the good work, keep studying. You will see that your studying is not in vain and that it will work out in the end. All right, y'all. Once again, see you all next week. I'm posting videos twice in a week so that it's more consistent and more content. See you all next week. Once again, I don't know how many times I'm gonna repeat that, but all right, see you all. Bye.